Testing. Testing. Mic 1, 2. Hello, check. Testing. Mic 1, 2. Hello, check. Testing. 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 Mic 1, 2. Hello, check. Hello, check. Testing. Mic. Testing. Mic 1, 2. Hello, check.
Can you?
Checkers. Mic 1, 2. Testing. Mic 1, 2. Hello, check. Hello, check. Testing. Mic 1, 2. Hello, check. Testing. Testing. Mic 1, 2. Hello, check. Test. 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 Testing. Mic 1, 2. Hello, check. Testing. Mic 1, 2. Testing. Mic 1, 2. Hello, check. Hello, check. Testing. Mic 1, 2. Testing. Mic 1, 2.
Okay, thank you very, very much for your patience. I know you understand and very much appreciate it. We will be starting at 11:30 and you know, the guests will come through then. Okay.
Testing. Mic 1, 2. Check this.
Testing mic 1, 2. Hello, check.
£1,300. the one to
Thank you everyone for joining us this morning. And apologies for the delay. I'm going to read a short statement, and following that, the two family members here will be the center of attention. In the early morning hours of Saturday, October 7, hundreds of Hamas terrorists infiltrated Israel and led a ruthless, unprovoked attack against Israeli civilians while firing thousands of rockets into Israel. Over 30 civilian communities were under attack by hundreds of Hamas terrorists, a modern-day death squad. In Israeli civilian communities in the south of Israel, they went door to door, snatched babies from their mothers and children from their beds, handcuffed them, and then brutally, cold-bloodedly slaughtered them. Entire families were butchered in their homes. Young people at a music festival were surrounded and attacked, terrorized and assaulted. Young people who were in a music festival for peace. Girls were raped over their friends' bodies. Many who survived were kidnapped. More than 1,000 civilians, this number has risen this morning, I believe, to 1,200 civilians, have been executed. 1,000 or 1,200 Israelis is the equivalent of about 40,000 Americans, 6,935 British, 6,673 French, 4,894 Spanish, murdered in one single day. In international law, there is a term for such inhumane acts. It's called genocide. These horrific acts were celebrated in the streets of Tehran, in Gaza, and the Palestinian territory, and even by some here in London. The terrorists kidnapped over 200 people and dragged them into Gaza. I'm a British Israeli citizen. I've lived through terror and war, like everyone else, in Israel and in Palestine. We have never before in Israel experienced such a brutal, horrendous, and traumatic event, which will take years, if not generations, to overcome. We are incredibly grateful to Noam and Sharon for joining us here this morning. It is crucial that the world hears their stories. This is the biggest hostage crisis in the world that the world has faced in decades, and we must do whatever we can and whatever it takes to bring these hostages home. Noam, Sharon, please.
I shouldn't sit here today. I should have been on my way to Heathrow to pick up my mum, who's coming to celebrate her 75th birthday today with her family here in London. I'm here because of pure evil. I'm here because I need to ask for help to release babies, kids, mothers, and old people from their captivity. My name is Noam Sagi. I'm a British citizen and I am one of your own. On Saturday morning, Kibbutz Nir Oz, where I was born, grew up, woke up to a massacre, to a second Holocaust. They've been gassed, burned, butchered, slaughtered, killed, and kidnapped. Mostly young kids and old elderly people. They burned the place to the ground, shot the dogs, nothing left. There's no politics here. No context, no religion, no race. Simple humanity. People who survived the Holocaust found themselves facing another one. One of the hostages was on the Kindertransport. I call you, all of you, the media people here in this room, to connect to your human hearts, take responsibility, and present the right from the wrongs. Call the Hamas for what they are, a terror group. They need to take care of their civilians, and instead they're taking others. They're using you to manipulate opinions. And in this psychological warfare, you are being used. There is no place for politics. This is peace-loving people that fought all their life for coexistence and for good neighboring relationships. If they will die for peace, they will take it. If they will die for war, that will be another travesty. I want to take this opportunity to thank the most amazing people of Britain. Your overwhelming support, well received, and is so needed right now. I want also to thank the British government for all that they do formally and informally to bring these beautiful people back home. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sharon Lifshitz. I feel I've been hollow for the past few days, but I feel that we are strong. I feel that together we're facing this thing. What we're facing is an act of such barbarity that it is asking us, it is coaxing us into hate, into rage, into wanting to destroy, and against this senseless, horrific act of destruction that have taken so much for me, but even more for my community. These are the children that we all know. They are the children of our friends that we have grown together. These are the parents that have brought us together collectively. And I'm here to speak on their behalf. I'm here to be a voice. I would like to be there and to hug the survivors. I am here because there is work to do. We We are through the situation. The situation is not over. There's hostages in Gaza. My mom was taken out. She was kind of disconnected from her oxygen in order to be loaded onto a motorbike or whatever it is, I don't know. This is not about who is right and who is wrong, yeah? My father spent his life fighting for peace. I am his daughter. We are all his children. When we ask for peace, we ask to see the human within each of us. I am not here like Noam for politics. I cannot care at this moment. I don't have the luxury of politics. We now need to act together to fight that hatred with love. We start with our own heart. We start by being a we that say no to the massacre and destruction solely for a story. I don't know how to say it. We have job to do. We have these people to bring back. I call on any citizens. There are many Arab friends that my father had, that I have, many Muslims, many Christians, many Buddhists, many Hindus. I don't care. Come together. Let's get this. Let's have some hope in this. Let's bring these children home. My father would say, why do you bother with me? I am 83, I had a great life. My children and grandchildren are okay. Don't bother with me, bother with my neighbor's 3 children, bother with your friend's daughter who is autistic, bother with the babies. And I ask you to bother with them too. They're not part of this war.
Thank you, Shawana. No, we will take questions now. Yes, please.
Ivor Bennett from Sky News. It's now been 5 full days since your parents were taken. I just wonder, what have that period been like as you wait for news? And also specifically to Sharon, I understand both your parents require medication. How urgent is the need for their medication? What does it mean?
I mean, you have to be a special sort of person to take an 85-year-old woman out of her bed, don't you? She really, these are frail people. When the videos first surfaced, there was a video of a very elderly woman on a kind of rickshaw being taken around Gaza in her 90. And I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, I don't know this woman. She's from another kibbutz, She's not someone I know. Only, of course, she was my mother's friend, Yafa Adar, I know her daughter, we grow up together, we all know each other. I was there a month ago with Noam, sitting around having a drink. This is horrific. I cannot speak for because I is all of us. There are people that are there, counting the bodies, there are people that are there supporting the survivor. We together have experienced something that is so horrific we cannot contemplate. But we have a job to do now, and I'm concentrating, all of us are concentrating on the job at hand. And the job is, in the face of all of this, bring these people back home. There's mothers waiting for the children. These are my friends' children. These mothers are me. I'm asking on their behalf, not on my behalf. There's no I here, there's we. It wasn't against my father in particular or my friend's daughter. And so they're all our children and our parents.
And to know what's the last 5 days been like waiting for news?
I will echo Sharon. I feel I'm in a luxury position to be able to sit here and worry and to be afraid or to have any emotions thinking about my 75 years old mom sitting somewhere in Gaza. I need to navigate something she never imagined that will happen. Her parents fled Europe to protect their life. And she finds herself now on the other side of the border. It's not even one generation. So it's heartbreaking, but we are very, very resolved and very clear what is it that we are focusing on. They need to be back home now. And I say they, I'm talking about civilians, especially every kid under 18, every elder person over 65 should never, ever in this world, by any means, we accept that this is part of any negotiation or bargaining chip for what? So I'm in a luxury position.
Charlotte Lynch from LBC, have you heard any glimmers of hope over the past 5 days at all? And what is it right now that is keeping you going, that is giving you some hope?
No, we didn't heard anything. If you mean about anything formal, the answer is no. We don't know. What keep us going? What's kept me going? My son have one grandmother. I want him to be with her for his next birthday. What keeps me going is that every one of these people, where you call them, you might look at the picture, they are family. It's people that wiped my bum when I was a baby. They teach me how to swim and how to do 1 + 1. I know each one of them. We grew up like that together. It's a very, very small community. From the age of 6 weeks till the age of 18, we grew up together. We saw each other more than we saw our parents.
No brothers.
Or brothers. This is how we grew up. And you talk about over 80 people just from that community that have been taken hostages. So what kept me going? I will do everything I can for them.
Sharon, the same question to you.
I want to I am here because, I have to face my friends and tell them that I'm doing my bit. We got together. I can't say that the government, no army came for 8 hours. No army came to save these people. They were just fending for themselves, children and fathers and mothers and elderly. I think that there will be time to bury the dead. There will be time to decide what to do with that place, because I spoke to my brother yesterday and he felt he did not see a way for us to go back there. They have eradicated the place. This is a place that so much collective love has been put to. It was so beautiful emotionally for people, for my family. The week before, my whole family were there. And we now have to fight for those we can still save. The place is gone, the dead are dead, and somewhere in Gaza there are children and mothers, and this is our fight now. And I need to do this fight. I need to give a voice. I say it again, I feel such a pull to go back to Eilat and sit with our community, as they're just sitting there, listening to their stories, to these horrific stories and brave story, and children. My brother brought his 3 children so they can swim together with those survivors that have just gone through the most horrific thing. But I'm here to talk to you and to ask each person who believes that there is goodness in the world, that believe that butchery is not something we accept. I don't accept it not from Boko Haram, and I don't accept it from ISIS, and I don't accept it from our neighbors. Yeah, so at this point, that's what keeps me going. This needs to be heard. The distinction between ISIS and between Hamas and the Palestinian people must now be absolutely clear. I cannot believe what it's like to be a Palestinian at this point in, over the last 10 years under that regime. They don't just come and wash over that tsunami of hate and go back home and be kind. So it's just, we are the people of this region, and we need people to get this sorted. We need these people to come back home.
Donnie Ciprica, Associated Press. What have you heard? I don't know. You mentioned that you been in touch with the British government, but has the British government and indeed the Israeli government offered you any assistance? Told you anything about what might be going on? Any information from the authorities about what's going on?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'll save you a lot of questions. We didn't have any information from anyone in any formal way. The last time I know, and that's the only thing I can say, is that by 9:20 UK time, that was the last communication with my mother, went into her safe room inside her house, living on her own, dealing with the grief of losing my dad just a year ago, snatched by people, men in their 20s, or 30s, and the 40s, who took kids and elderly people as captive. We have no information, and since then we are together working in the dark, trying to get as much as information as much as you are.
Lucy Manning from BBC News Now, and we met earlier this week. I'm sorry, there's been further news and so on too. I wanted to ask you both, what do you want the British government to do in the international community? And do you think it's right that the Israeli government is saying that there is no water or electricity in Gaza until the hostages have been released?
I will answer that, Lucy, because you saw the pictures, you've been in my house, and I show you everything. And you work for the BBC. And I asked the BBC to call it for what it is. To use human code and to call it for what it is. The Hamas is an organization that came to do one thing and one thing only. And we have that responsibility. What will happen in Gaza next, everybody knew, and they have a year to plan this. So if you want to protect your people, you have a year to do that. It didn't stop here, right? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that because I'm not a politician. My ways of dealing with things are very different than what I see that is happening on the ground. I believe in humanity. You saw in the video that I show you, people come into the kibbutz and they take with them kids' bike. So someone believed that if you take a bike for his kids from the kibbutz to the other side, they believe that they will improve their quality of life. They believe in future. 1 + 1 = 2. What will happen in 3 days? Everybody knows. What's the expectation? So whoever planned this operation had to plan also what will happen next, and I have no clue. I think we all been in this, living in we live here for many years, but we grew up in the region and we know how it works. It's just sad and heartbreaking escalation of violence that will just include more generations, and that is what is the way out. So nuance right now feels terrible. Terrible.
I would like to add that at the moment, my mom and dad are also there. I'm not really going to tell you what I think is right and wrong. I think that, they have shown that they have no mercy and we have to protect our people. I don't know. I am not a military person. I'm not a politician. But beyond that, we need to find a way for a future. And I think at the moment, it's really, really just the fact that we can't do anything until these elderly people and children are back. This is on message for me, because we can sit here and we're going to spend the rest of our life dealing with this atrocity. This is the defining moment of our life, you know, what we have worked and our parents worked for, and, you know, our children, everything we have done, there's nothing left, you know, all my parents' life work, it's gone, yeah? We will do with that later. At the moment, my friend's daughter is autistic. She's not very well to be kind of in very acute situations. She can hardly handle daily life. I want her out. The rest is just really the rest for me. And once we solve this, we can start looking at this horrendous atrocity. There will be changes, because there were changes after 73 and there was changes after 2011. It's a moment of change. We have yet to really comprehend what took place. But now we are still in the event. We are not after the event. And in this event, these children and elderly must come back home.
Hello, Marcela from France 24, W Radio. I just wanted to ask you, how much longer can your parents live without their medication? How is the situation? And also now that they don't have any electricity, what are food?
I don't know what they have. You know, I keep telling my son that they are very valuable asset, and therefore people are looking after them. I have no clue, but I have to somehow find a way through this reality, you know. My mom and dad, I would say, are incredibly strong people in their heart and in their will. The body, you know, my father, I was afraid now for him to climb on a chair, let alone anything else. My mom's back is unwell. She, you know, I don't know if it's damp, I don't know if it's dusty. I don't spend my time thinking about it because I would explode.
It's hard. It's hard to see. I think we need to understand that they just transfer care home into Gaza. This is people with cancer. This is people with dementia. This is people with Parkinson. They're not mobile. Actually, they took them on their own mobility scooters all the way. And I think it was the longest trip they had for a long time. The reason we feel urgency is because nature will do its course if we are not going to act quickly. If the international community and the humanity and the human code and the human dial won't fall in a place that we say, stop, this is outside of the lines of what is okay and what is not okay, they won't be here for too long. My mom is severe allergies to every kind of dust. I know that her EpiPen and her inhalers are at home. I can send how many I want to the border. I don't know if it will reach her or not. And everyone there is a case in themselves. I keep on getting desperate pleas from people in Israel, mothers for kids, said, can you please get someone from the Red Cross to get that medication for that child? My heart goes out, and I don't know what we can do from here, but I know there is so many good people. And I must say, in Turkey, in Qatar, they're doing an amazing job. We're not going to talk about them because we don't know them, but they will be our best hope that things will get to them and they will have some hope to survive. And as Sharon said, I believe that if they are assets, they will take care of them.
I'm sure, obviously, you're well aware of the threats made from Hamas. I just wonder if either of you believe that the response from the Israeli government thus far will potentially put your parents in greater danger.
I mean, I think there is surface and undersurface, and I'm not aware of what the undercurrent is. So, you know, I don't think that this government is what I would have hoped for, but I don't think it's the time for politics. They are the people negotiating my community's life, and I have to put my trust in them, and at the same time call on every government in this world to almost expect of them to protect their citizens and work for their release. It's very easy at this point where something so horrendous happened to simply wish to revenge on your enemy because they have been so successful. So my wish is that they care for their citizen and that they put them into the equation.
No.
I will echo what Sharon is saying, because if I will get into this, it won't be nice.
That was part of the question. I'll talk to.
Julian Drucker, 5 News. Thank you both for appearing on our programme over the last few days, which I always really appreciate. But what is life like, the passing of each day, particularly as we get to 1 week since it's happened? How difficult is life?
Life is extremely difficult. I think we are nothing prepares you for that, you know? Up till Friday, I'm working with my clients and help them with their own emotions to get a better quality of life and make change in the world, but we understand humans in different ways. And we're talking about how AI is going to change the world and what is all kind of range of sexuality. And then everything comes back to the basic existential reasoning of what the hell we're here for. Are we here? What's going on? Is my mom alive? Is she not? What her crime was? What? Can someone remind me why she's a hostage? For being a Jewish living in her own home in Israel? It's extremely difficult. I don't have words to look at my son into his eyes and say, this is why it happened. Because I can't comprehend and I cannot explain how we live in a world in 2023 that this is still a reason for that kind of hate. Of course, there is a lot of unknowns. And how do we live with unknowns? I rather be positive and stay positive. I know that every person that was involved in this attack have a heart pumping in them. And my wish is that they will see that these people, they're humans, and they will get to know them, and they won't use them as objects. It might be far-fetched, it might be that I'm naive, but that's the reason we talk. I still believe, I hope. It's heartbreaking. It's beyond difficult. We live in London life, you know, we meet friends and we have plans and we have all kind of things that we just, and then this is out of complete universe. It just throw everything that I knew into a different dimension. Again, we have no luxury to be afraid and to overthink. We just need to be very, very focused. It's not that we need to, actually, we want to. We have to. The value of life, the value of what is a parent, what is a family, what is a community, what is humanity, I will fight for that for the rest of my life if I need to.
I would just want to add that I think, first of all, we are here and we are safe, and the citizens of this region are about to go into war. So while we really worry about loved ones, we also have the luxury of taking an underground, and life is pretty much undisturbed for our families, immediate families. I would like to also add that the last 4 days are really strange. They're kind of it's like as I said it before, I feel the I is gone and the we is holding me together, and that's the we of the people that I grew up with, but it's the we of the people around me here and all over the world, and friends I've made over a lifetime and people that just, yesterday I received emails from people in Qatar telling me that, people there support us and are horrified by what is happening. I think that this separation between people solely, I think there's those who wants us to hate, and against that, the majority of us wants to, to work together for making it a possible space and life for our children. And we have to hold on to those people, and we have to, I have experienced love I've never experienced before around me here. And I feel we are carried by this love, and we are all finding strengths in us we didn't know we have. I mean, this is not really where I was planning to be on Thursday afternoon. We have to rise to this, and we have to believe that we can fight hate with love.
Any other question, Elijah?
Sean, I know your parents were peace activists. You can expand a little bit about that. I know that they spend their lives. Sorry. I know that your parents were peace activists and that they spend their lives fighting for good neighborly relations between them.
Well, Noam's teacher was my Arabic teacher.
So
Noam's mom was my Arabic teacher.
So maybe if you can expand a little bit about that, about how.
My father was a peace activist all his life. He was, I think in his professional life, he did so much, and what he was most proud of was a fight that went all the way to the High Court in the 70s, in which for the first time Israel High Court gave land back to Bedouins in North Sinai before Israel returned it. He spent a lifetime, he was on the boat of return, he met Arafat, he believed he had many friends among, I went with him in 2000 to visit Gaza, and we met many people within Gaza. He was part of an organization called Another Voice that was from that part of the world on the border with Gaza, that met people, had relationship, especially before Hamas, with many people. We are communities that live very close together. My father spent at least a day a week in his retirement just getting a car from the kibbutz. The kibbutz authorized him to get the car because he didn't have a private one. And he will go to the border in Erez and pick up sick Palestinian people and take them for appointment in East Jerusalem. And he wasn't the only one. Others that were slaughtered and lost everything were part of that. We are communities, we are communities that work together. My brother employed many people from Gaza and continued to pay their salary for many years. And we are not the only one. My family is not the only one. We're part of a community. It's, these kind of stories, they're really like, I grew up on all these Holocaust stories, how my uncle's life was saved because, he gave a coat to a Polish guy. I mean, it's our whole growing up on these stories in which, act of kindness made a difference where everything went impossible. Do I want that to be the story here? Yes.
Yeah, as Sharon said, my mom, she's a daughter of Polish parents, exiles, and she became Arabic teacher and Hebrew teacher. Her mission in life was bridges of communication. No politics, no government. Two people connecting, communicating. And paradoxically, at the age of 75, maybe this is exactly what happened now. I hope that this is what she will do. Maybe what politicians can't do, she's doing just that. I'm naive, yes.
Yeah.
You have to, because what the other option? All their life they fight for better future for us. And they didn't talk the talk, they walk the walk. These people marginalized in Israel for their beliefs. And on Saturday morning, they were the front line and had to take it to save and protect their country from all these atrocities and that horrible, horrible attack.
I tell you something, my father, whenever there was a flare-up in Gaza and there was missiles were shot on both sides, my father will get all the press, you know. So they will come to his house and all, you know, your media outlets, you know, many of them came to visit my father in his little kibbutz, in his house with his cactus, and they will talk to him. And we had this joke because they will always cut him out of the final report because he was too reasonable. You know, he was too reasonable. And I think that is something for you to think about how you tell the story. You know, my father was always cut out. There was the CNN for an hour in his house a couple of years ago, but then it didn't air. Why? Why are we telling the stories of extreme? What are we teaching our people if we're telling the stories of extreme? And then, you know, I don't know, when you have a child and he misbehaves, you can either tell him off or you can just kind of ignore it till he behaves normally. And somehow, you know, we should celebrate, you know, the people that are working for peace, not the people just that are working for war. I think that was my father's life story.
And you see what happened here. This is very interesting because I don't know what was your expectation when you came here. But we're sitting here and we're asking for accountability, not revenge. We're asking humanity to do its thing, not hate. This is their legacy. This is how we grew up and this is why we're here. They maybe pay a big price for that, yes. But that won't change the cause. We want generations to come to have a better future. That was exactly what they told us. And we are now fighting for their future, yes, absolutely yes. And this is why we're here, no any other reason. People listen to us now because we were in pain, which is paradoxical, because we're saying the right thing anyway. Love should always prevail. Faith should always take over. Good always should be before bad. Don't listen to me because I'm in pain. Listen to me because I am absolutely right.
Kelly Jacobs from BBC Newsnight. You talked about the amazing work that your parents have done. You talked about obviously the amazing work that your parents have done for peace, but are you concerned that this will further polarize the two communities and therefore peace is even less likely in the future?
I think we have just experienced an event that is so out of the scale that, you know, my brain has been engaged for, that I can't quite answer your question. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing when I'm coming out of here. You know, I don't know what is happening tomorrow. I'm just waiting, you know. And we all are, my community is stuck in a hotel in Eilat. They have nowhere to return to. We don't even know what we're doing. So at this point, to think whether kind of big things will happen, let's go back think about the hostages, think about how long we have for them. Let's really stay on message, because there's something that we can do here. There's so much I cannot do. I cannot return, I cannot tell my father to take the ambulance that came to see him on Friday night to the hospital, because then he would be safe. I cannot do all of this. And I cannot do anything for the dead, and I cannot do for the burnt, and I cannot do so much. I am totally helpless. There's one thing I can do at the moment, and that's sit here and tell you, do anything you can to bring these people home. Let's stick to the message.
I'm Lama Shahadi from the National. Who is supporting you at this time, specifically friends, family, organizations, or governments? What support?
You mean me and Noam, or you mean our community?
We're supporting each other. We have amazing family. We have amazing friends. I talk on behalf of both of us, but I know the London community is an absolutely what actually in 2 days started to repair my faith in humanity. I lost it on Saturday. I was shaken to the core of how this is even possible that humans will do something like that to other humans. For 9-year-old babies that didn't even have a start yet. And then the next thing I know is that people are rally around us and offer so much support. And I think it shows so much love and so much care and so much, and that fills me. My family hugs every evening to recharge my batteries for the day after. And the hope and belief that we will have an outcome that won't be worse than what we already experienced. The belief and the hope that the bad is behind us. That's what supports me. I think we are not looking back, we're looking forward. We try to prevent something even worse. And each one that sits in this room is part of that. And that togetherness, that relationship and connection that we actually create here, that will echo with your audience, that will echo with their hearts, that what will make a difference and potentially will save life. That gives you immense power. So the life that's already gone, there's not much we can do. I ask people in Israel, shall I come and I want to help? And they said, listen, we can't even start digging the graves now. When we will need to do that, yes, come and pick the tools, dig. Right now, stay where you are and talk. Easy to talk, very easy. So I think that the magnitude of this changed perspective. And we find energy and power in love and each other, in the we, as Sharon called it. And for me, it's again, the English, the British, the London community is absolutely restoring the faith of why we're here.
Hi, I'm Alison from the Telegraph. You mentioned before that you were both home about a month ago and sharing the group together. And I just wondered if you could tell us a bit about that last trip home. How were your parents? Were they in good spirits? What did you do when you were at home?
My parents were glowing. I can't tell you. I think they felt they're on borrowed time. They were still there. My father just got back his driving license, though I don't know if that was wise. They were just living the moment. They were so beautiful. Walking into the dining room is a very special thing. I used to hate it for years because growing in a small community can be really crushing in some ways. And the last few years, it just felt so precious. Every time I came, there was a few more members missing, and everybody has aged a little more, but they will have this really warm smiles, and they will sit in the usual seat, and I will know the table of each of them, and they all beat my parents. You could see, Bracha Shalev that was murdered, she was our kindergarten woman, and they would just be so happy to see us, like we are their children. And there was something very much about, it's just about just how they were. And then my son, it was his favorite place in the world, and me to survive, but was kind of kidnapped and pretended to be dead on the way to Gaza, and a lot of what we know about what happened. I used to work with her in the gardens, and she's taken over the last few years, and the whole kibbutz was full of these little touches of hers. She had such a way with things, and such a way of, and everything is a bit run down, but in a really sweet way. The houses are all single floor, so there was nothing there were green grass and really tall trees, and it was kind of strangely, you look at it now, so much of it is gone. My parents' house there's nothing left, and you kind of go, was it, I don't know, it's just the love of people when they saw you was quite, it's just, they did really try to make a bigger family. We slept in the children's house, not anymore since the 80s, but we did. And those people that, as Noam said, looked after us, there's something about it. And my parents, this morning I was looking at a little picture of them driving their little mobility kind of thing, and they just looked really happy. They were so enjoying the time they were having, They would never leave the house when bombs were falling. They would never leave the house when they needed to go to hospital, unfortunately. They lived their life.
It's a small spot, green oasis in the middle of the desert that we call home. We left many years ago, many years ago. But it doesn't matter. Every time we came, it's home. And it's home for our kids as well. So lots of grandparents and grandchildren in that environment. It's like you don't lock the door and you're on a bike everywhere. There's no cars. Just, I think they work so hard to create utopia. The essence of the kibbutz was you give as much as you can, you take as much as you need. That was the only thing. They don't earn money. They shared everything. We grew up together in children's houses, not with our parents. It became a bit more modernized as the world demands a little bit to wake up from that dream that they created from themselves. But I think they never changed in terms of the essence of the community was still very utopic till Saturday morning.
The last time I was there, my father introduced me to a woman called Tamar. I never met her before. She was married to the son of a kibbutz member, Carol, and Tamar was had a campaign to get elected for the local mayor. My father was supporting her campaign because she was very much about including people in decision and many things that he felt was close to his heart. She was murdered together with her husband and 3 children that were playing with my son, and she was murdered together with her husband's mother. I can't, it's impossible. I am here to tell you the story, you know. I'm here because because as a community, people have now come, we all dropped everything and we just made a kibbutz, you know, on WhatsApp. You know, all of us that went away, we just made a kibbutz and everybody are doing. Some people are looking after the cows and some people are getting laptops and other people are raising funding and other people are entertaining the children in Eilat and everybody. I'm talking again about we have come together and we are supporting each other and we are trying to make what it takes to return the hostages home and look after these people and look after what is left. Yeah.
We're gonna take 2 more questions.
Second book is Daily Express. A lot of people will be sat at home and they'll be really moved by your story and they'll say, what can I do? What would you say to them?
I will say the next person you see on the street, smile at them. First of all, you know, make this place work. And then I would say, work towards making this, you know, I don't know to speak politics. There will be communities that needs to come together. There is funding that needs to be raised. What would you say?
I met, last night I went to talk to they invited me to talk to them. I actually got a lot of comfort from a community in North London, Jewish people. And they said that the kid's afraid to go to school tomorrow. What would I say to them? So it's a great question and great opportunity because this is how what happened there is actually happening here. We must hug people and don't push them away. We must find a way to see that what we have in common is greater than any divide. It doesn't matter if you wear a yarmulke or a burqa. It doesn't matter what you believe in. We are humans. What are we talking about? How can someone here in London be afraid to go to school? How a businessman will be afraid to open his shop? So what everybody can do here, it is no different to any form of any hate crime. And it doesn't matter who is on the other, in the receiving end. There is no room for that anywhere, because this is where it ends up. For some of these people, unfortunately, for the second time in their lifetime, it is unbelievable. It's unimaginable. So it's all on us. This is exactly what we can do. We can smile, we can hug, we can connect, we can understand that we need to protect the people that need more protection because they will never need to feel unsafe in their own cities, wherever it is. It doesn't matter if it's London or Paris or Brussels. That is not acceptable in the world of today. And I'm not talking just about Jewish people, I'm talking about anyone who feels like that. Just because you ask the question, just because my heart is bleeding, we have the opportunity to put that on air. It is unacceptable. We need to say, this is where the dial falls. Why? What for? How can we define ourselves by who we are not? That is the lesson of World War II. That will never work. Look in and find something so good that you can share with someone else. And that is the only way we can move.
You know,
what happened there, it's not somewhere in a small corner of the universe that is nothing to do with us. And I know it's overwhelming and very hard to comprehend how it feels. I worked with people in Germany for many years to understand, to try to process the Holocaust. Open wound. The brain, the mind cannot comprehend. Too big. We can't contain that. So it's about prevention. It's about using our human hearts, our connection, and our ability to be there for one another that will spread the next one and the next one and the next one. When we go from here, we are not going with a yarmulke or a burqa or a turban or anything else. We are the same. And we need at some point to get that and drill that, not into our brain, into our hearts. All we sitting here, even after everything that is still going, it's not finished yet. We talking about love, connection, warmth, humility, empathy. Simple. We all have it. We don't need to go to school to acquire it. It's here in the room with your audience. Everyone has that ability and that opportunity right now. So everyone who's vulnerable, and it doesn't matter who you are, right now is the time to hug them and to give them the confidence that nothing will happen to them. And if this is the message that will come out of this atrocity, at least.
You know, my life, our life shattered on Saturday. Mine less than my friends who have children that were killed and families that were killed. The jury is still out in my immediate family. But, you know, it happens to people all over the world. It happens to people, it's just that now, like my brother said to me yesterday, you know, the dice is thrown every day, you know, and on Saturday, you know, it picked us up. And I think that it's impossible to understand, but it's kind of make things simpler in a way, you know. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's just at one point it hits you, you cannot, and it's so big and it's so horrific, and it's not just my kibbutz, you know. There's over 100 people in Be'eri that were murdered. This is a community we went to school with. This whole region is destroyed. They almost managed to make it impossible for these communities to return because the level of atrocity that was committed there is making it really hard to imagine to return, you know. And the first day, my brother told me, come back, we need to bury the dead, we need to clean the blood. And now he said to me, there is nothing we can come back to. My father loved playing the piano, he will play it every day. We just got him a couple of years ago a new piano, and, you know, it's 3 centimeters tall at the moment, you know. So we have to just remember how precious things are, how amazingly precious they are, and remember it that we have to make it somehow make sense, you know, for our children and for our friends. We have to make it make sense, but in greater circle, we have to embrace it to far and wide, and we all have a responsibility here.
Thank you for your question, by the way, because it's very, very human and important.
Noam and Sharon are two families that were affected. In one kibbutz Nir Oz. Kibbutz Nir Oz currently has over 80 people who are missing.
Well, 150 people left. This is easier to say than that. That's what left from.
400. There's 400 people.
And Nir Oz is one of 30 communities in the south of Israel, the border with Gaza, that were attacked.
My math teacher is kidnapped, so I can't do the math. So, but you know, you can do it. You can, yeah, you can do it for yourself.
Kibbutz Aza, another.
Kfar.
Sorry, Kibbutz Kfar Aza. That had 800 members. The estimates are that 70 to 80% of these kibbutz members have died. The other 20%, some of them are missing. The entire kibbutz was exterminated. 30 communities. The rest of Israel is not under any greater sense of safety or security. These atrocities in the south has shaken the entire country to the core. No sense of safety will be regained at any point in the near future. And this should echo way outside of Israel, because as John announced that this happens everywhere. This can happen everywhere. This is a story of people being attacked in their own homes. Not soldiers against soldiers. Murderers, terrorists against babies. Babies and children.
Can I just add something? And that is that there's evidence that this was premeditated on the level of every house in every community. This is not just happened to be like that. These people knew the location of every house in every kibbutz. They had planned in which way they're gonna go through the houses. They brought the equipment to break into the houses. They planned it all. This has been planned for a long time. We have been horrified when ISIS grow, and this is another reiteration of this level of hatred.
You good?
As I said, we are bleeding. We are in pain. We are hurting. We are in disbelief. But what give me strength and it's moment like this is talking to you, knowing that the message can go wider and further, sitting together with you and sharing, we never imagined that this is how we're gonna reunite, because we grew up as kids together. So we're here because of my pain, and my pain is here because they're not there, and because my pain is because someone decided to do something that I would never imagine that is possible. And I think it's all on us to make sure that it will never happen. How are we going to do that? How are we going to change our mindset and our mind frame and stop being right? Whatever outlet you work for, what is it that we're here for if it's not for the basic human connection and values and what is the basic code of humanity?
Let's get these people home.
I think all of us, on behalf of the missing, on behalf of those in Gaza, on behalf of Israelis, Israeli families, lost family members, friends, and their children. We're calling from London to the Israeli government, to the Palestinian Authority, to all governments out there, to the international media, to the international community. We want these people who still stand a chance to return, and we want everything done in everyone's power so that we can have a little bit of hope left from this major atrocity. Thank you, everyone.